In our lives, we encounter people who walk alongside us for a season, and then there are those who seem etched into our very soul. Their presence changes the trajectory of our existence. Their values become our own, and their memory becomes a compass that guides us long after they're gone. It's a bond that transcends simple friendship, becoming a form of brotherhood so profound that it seems destined, written in the stars. Today we delve into one of the most powerful stories of brotherhood to emerge from a generation defined by conflict. It is a story of three young men, bound together by the hallowed traditions of the United States Naval Academy, who would go on to face the crucible of war. It's a story of promises kept, of unimaginable loss, and of a legacy that continues to challenge us all with a simple yet profound question. This is the story of Brendan Looney and the two brothers who stood with him until the very end, Travis Manion and Matt Mason. To understand their sacrifice, we must first understand the world that shaped them and the unshakable bond that made them who they were. To fully grasp the gravity of their choices, we have to transport ourselves back in time to the America of the late 1990s and the dawn of the new millennium. For many, it was a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity. The Cold War was a memory, the economy was booming, and the nation seemed to be basking in the glow of being the world's lone superpower. The great struggles of the 20th century felt like chapters in a history book. For young men and women coming of age, the future seemed bright and filled with limitless personal possibilities. But on a clear Tuesday morning, September 11th, 2001, that sense of security was shattered forever. The attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon were not just a geopolitical event. They were a deep psychological wound inflicted upon the nation. Suddenly, the abstract concepts of duty, service, and sacrifice became intensely personal and urgent. A generation that had grown up in relative tranquility was now faced with a call to arms. It was in this charged atmosphere, where patriotism burned with a renewed intensity, that countless young Americans, including Brendan Looney and his friends, felt an undeniable pull towards the front lines. Their path was no longer just a career, it was a calling. They were part of what would become known as the 9/11 generation, a cohort of warriors who chose to run toward the sound of the guns, driven by a conviction that if they didn't stand up to defend their way of life, then who would? Brendan Looney was in many ways the quintessential all-American boy. Born in Silver Spring, Maryland, he was the eldest of 6 children, a position that naturally instilled in him a sense of responsibility and leadership from a very young age. His parents, Kevin and Maureen, fostered a home environment built on faith, family, and discipline. Being the big brother to 5 younger siblings meant Brendan was a built-in role model, a protector, and a leader of his own small tribe, long before he ever wore a uniform. This natural leadership found its most visible outlet on the athletic fields. Brendan wasn't just a participant, he was a force. In football, he was a tough, intelligent player. In lacrosse, a sport that requires a unique blend of grit and finesse, he truly excelled. He was a standout midfielder for the legendary DeMatha Catholic High School team, known for his relentless hustle and his innate understanding of teamwork. For Brendan, sports were more than a game. They were a laboratory for life. They taught him how to push past pain, how to rely on the person next to him, and how to lead by example. He wasn't always the most vocal player, but his actions spoke volumes. He was the guy who would go for the toughest ground ball, who would make the extra pass, who would put the team's success above his own personal glory. These were the foundational bricks of the man he would become. His path like that of many bright, service-oriented young men, led him to the imposing gates of the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis. Founded in 1845, the Academy is more than just a university. It is a 4-year crucible designed to forge leaders of character. The moment you step onto the yard, as the campus is known, you are immersed in a world of discipline, tradition, and unrelenting pressure. It is a place that systematically breaks down the individual ego to rebuild it as part of a cohesive whole. It was here, amidst the demanding academic course load, the grueling physical training, and the rigid military structure, that Brendan Looney's life would be forever changed. In the random lottery of roommate assignments, he was placed in a room with 2 other young men who shared his quiet intensity and burning ambition. One was Travis Manion, the other was Matt Mason. Travis Manion was a force of nature. Hailing from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, he was the son of a retired Marine Corps colonel, and service was in his blood. He was charismatic, confident, and possessed an infectious energy that drew people to him. A gifted wrestler in high school, Travis understood the art of the one-on-one struggle, the discipline required to face an opponent and impose your will. He was a natural leader, not because he was the loudest, but because he inspired loyalty and respect through his unwavering integrity. He had a clear vision for his future. He would follow in his father's footsteps and become an officer in the United States Marine Corps. Matt Mason was the quiet professional of the trio. More reserved than Brendan and Travis, he possessed a steely determination and a singular focus. From an early age, Matt knew what he wanted. He didn't just want to be in the Navy. He wanted to be a Navy SEAL. He was fascinated by the elite warriors of naval special warfare, the silent, shadowy figures who took on the nation's most dangerous missions. He was methodical, disciplined, and relentlessly prepared himself for the immense challenges he knew lay ahead. Imagine that small dorm room in Bancroft Hall, the largest single dormitory in the world. 3 distinct personalities, 3 ambitious futures, converging in one space. There would have been late nights spent studying for engineering exams, early mornings for formation, and weekends filled with the rigorous demands of academy life. They would have pushed each other during physical readiness tests, supported each other through the soul-crushing experience of plebe year, and forged a bond in the shared struggle. Their friendship wasn't built on casual fun. It was forged in fire. They saw in each other a reflection of their own commitment, a shared understanding of the path they had chosen. They weren't just roommates, they became brothers. They knew with a certainty that only young men on the cusp of a life of service can possess, that they would always have each other's backs no matter where their different paths might lead them. In 2004, the 3 friends graduated from Annapolis and went their separate ways, embarking on the careers they had worked so hard for. Travis received his commission as a 2nd lieutenant in the Marine Corps. Matt immediately began the long and arduous pipeline to become a Navy SEAL. And Brendan initially took a different path. He was commissioned as an intelligence officer in the Navy. It was a critical and respected role, analyzing information, providing crucial support to the operators in the field. He served with distinction aboard the USS George Washington, deploying in support of operations in the Persian Gulf. He was good at his job, but for a man with a warrior's heart, being behind the lines was a source of growing unease. The world outside the wire was raging. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were in full swing, and Brendan's friends were in the thick of it. He would hear from Travis, who was leading a team of Iraqi soldiers, and from Matt, who was making his way through the grueling SEAL training. A sense of restlessness began to gnaw at him. He felt a powerful pull, a deep-seated need to be on the ground, sharing the risks and the burdens of his brothers in arms. This internal conflict, the struggle between a safe, successful career and the dangerous calling of the front lines, was about to be brought into sharp, tragic focus. The core of this entire saga, the event that acted as the catalyst for everything that followed, occurred on April 29th, 2007. First Lieutenant Travis Manion was on his second tour in Iraq, serving as an advisor to an Iraqi army battalion in the volatile Anbar province. On that fateful day, his patrol was ambushed by enemy snipers. As gunfire erupted, Travis, true to his nature, immediately moved to protect his men. He fearlessly exposed himself to draw enemy fire away from his wounded comrades, allowing them to be pulled to safety. In that act of supreme courage, Travis was struck and killed by a sniper's bullet. Before he deployed for that final tour, Travis had a conversation with his brother-in-law. He was asked why he had to go back. His answer was simple, direct, and has since become one of the most iconic phrases in the military community. He said, "If not me, then who?" Those 5 words encapsulated the very essence of Travis Manion. It was a philosophy of service, of taking responsibility, of understanding that freedom and safety are not abstract concepts, but are paid for by the willingness of a few to stand in the breach. The news of Travis's death shattered Brendan Looney. The loss of his friend, his brother, was a visceral blow. It was a stark and brutal reminder of the stakes of the war he had been watching from a distance. The internal debate that had been simmering inside him now boiled over into an unshakable resolve. The "if not me, then who" ethos of his fallen friend became his own personal mantra. There was no longer a choice to be made. He knew what he had to do. At Travis's funeral, surrounded by the grief-stricken Manion family and a sea of uniformed service members, Brendan made a solemn vow. Standing beside his brother's grave, he turned to Travis's father, Colonel Tom Manion, and made a quiet, heartfelt promise. He said that if anything were to ever happen to him, he wanted to be buried right there, next to Travis. It was a request born of profound love and a recognition that their brotherhood was a bond that even death could not break. From that moment forward, Brendan Looney was a man on a mission. He made the incredibly difficult decision to leave his established career in naval intelligence and pursue a lateral transfer to naval special warfare. This was almost unheard of. It meant giving up his rank and seniority and starting from scratch to face what is widely considered the most difficult military training in the world, basic underwater demolition/SEAL training, or BUD/S. He arrived in Coronado, California, as just another candidate, his past accomplishments meaning little. BUD/S is the great equalizer. It is 6 months of organized chaos, a nonstop physical and mental assault designed to find a man's breaking point and then push him far beyond it. Brendan endured the log PT, hoisting massive telephone poles with his boat crew until his muscles screamed. He suffered through the bone-chilling cold of the Pacific Ocean during endless surf torture sessions. He navigated the infamous O course and ran for miles in the soft sand with his combat boots and gear. The crucible of BUD/S is a week-long ordeal known as Hell Week. 5.5 days of continuous training with a maximum of 4 hours of sleep in total. It is a state of perpetual motion, cold, and exhaustion where candidates are pushed to the brink of hypothermia and hallucination. It is designed to weed out anyone who lacks the absolute iron-willed commitment to the team. Many quit, but Brendan Looney did not. He was fueled by something more powerful than personal ambition. He was fueled by the memory of Travis. Every time he felt like giving up, every time the cold seeped into his bones and his mind screamed for rest, he would think of his friend's sacrifice. He was doing this for Travis. He was honoring his brother by becoming the warrior he felt he was always meant to be. He survived Hell Week. He passed Bud S. And after further advanced training, he finally earned the coveted Navy SEAL trident that he had pinned to his chest. He had done it. He had transformed himself from an intelligence officer into one of the world's most elite special operators. He was now a Navy SEAL, just like his other brother, Matt Mason. He was finally on the front line. Lieutenant Brendan Looney excelled as a SEAL. He was assigned to SEAL Team 3 and deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan. His teammates remember him as a quiet, humble, yet supremely competent leader. He led from the front, never asking his men to do anything he wouldn't do himself. He embodied the SEAL ethos of the quiet professional. His journey had come full circle. The athlete from Maryland, the brother from Annapolis, had found his ultimate calling in the unforgiving mountains of Afghanistan. And then tragedy struck with a cruel and devastating finality. On September 21, 2010, Brendan was part of a major operation in the Zabul province of Afghanistan, a rugged and dangerous region. He was aboard a Black Hawk helicopter with 8 other American service members and a German soldier. In a horrific accident, the helicopter went down. There were no survivors. Lieutenant Brendan Looney, the devoted son, the loving brother, the loyal friend, and the elite warrior, was gone. He was 29 years old. The news of his death sent a wave of fresh grief through a community that had already endured so much. The Looney family was devastated. The Naval Academy class of 2004 had lost another one of its brightest stars, and the SEAL teams mourned the loss of a brother. But in the midst of their overwhelming grief, the Looney and Manion families remembered the promise made 3 years earlier at a graveside in Pennsylvania. Brendan's wish to be buried next to Travis. Honoring this request became their sacred mission. It was not a simple process. It required navigating layers of military bureaucracy and securing special approvals to have 2 non-related service members buried side by side in Arlington National Cemetery, the nation's most sacred ground. But driven by love and a deep understanding of the bond these 2 men shared, they persisted. And so, in a solemn and poignant ceremony, Lieutenant Brendan Looney was laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery, in a plot directly adjacent to that of his brother, First Lieutenant Travis Manion. The 2 friends, the 2 roommates from Annapolis, the Navy SEAL and the Marine, were reunited for eternity. The image of their 2 simple white headstones, standing shoulder to shoulder, became a powerful and enduring symbol. It spoke of a brotherhood that was stronger than service rivalry, stronger than geography, and ultimately stronger than death itself. It was a promise made in grief and fulfilled in love. While this story is centered on the extraordinary bond between Brendan and Travis, we must remember the 3rd brother, the quiet professional, Matt Mason. While his friends were making their sacrifices, Matt was ascending to the highest accolades of naval special warfare. He had successfully completed the grueling selection and training for the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, or DevGRU, more famously known as SEAL Team 6. This is the unit responsible for the nation's most sensitive and high-stakes counterterrorism missions. Matt was among the best of the best, a Tier 1 operator at the absolute tip of the spear. For a time, it seemed as if he might be the one to carry the legacy of his 2 fallen brothers forward, to live the life they could not. But the war was relentless and unforgiving. On August 6, 2011, less than a year after Brendan's death, Matt Mason was part of a quick reaction force being sent to reinforce a unit of Army Rangers who were engaged in a fierce firefight in the Tangi Valley of Afghanistan. He and 29 other American service members, including 17 Navy SEALs, many from his own unit, boarded a CH-47 Chinook helicopter with the call sign Extortion 17. As the helicopter approached the landing zone, it was struck by a rocket-propelled grenade fired by a Taliban insurgent. The helicopter crashed, killing everyone on board. It was the single deadliest day for U.S. forces in the entire Afghanistan war. The loss to the SEAL community, and to DevGru in particular, was catastrophic. And with that single horrific event, the final member of the Annapolis Brotherhood was gone. 3 friends, 3 roommates, 3 American heroes. All had given their last full measure of devotion. Their story, a trilogy of friendship and sacrifice, was complete. It is a narrative almost too tragic to be believed, a testament to the immense cost of the post-9/11 wars, measured not in dollars, but in the lives of the nation's finest young men. In the face of such overwhelming loss, it would be easy to despair. But the story of Brendan Looney, Travis Manion, and Matt Mason is not ultimately a story about death. It is a story about life, about purpose, and about a legacy that continues to burn brightly. The spirit of these 3 men, and particularly the ethos of Travis Manion, if not me, then who, became the foundation for something truly remarkable. The Manion family, in their grief, chose not to retreat from the world, but to engage with it. They established the Travis Manion Foundation, a nonprofit organization with a mission to empower veterans and the families of the fallen to develop character in future generations. This is not just a charity that writes checks. It is an active, living memorial. The Foundation's Character Does Matter program sends veterans and Gold Star family members into schools to mentor young people, sharing stories of service, courage, and leadership. They teach students that the values lived by Travis, Brendan, and Matt, courage, integrity, leadership, and service, are not just for the military, but are essential for a meaningful life. The Foundation also runs expeditions and service projects that unite veterans and Gold Star families, helping them to heal and find a renewed sense of purpose by serving their communities. And every year, all across the country, thousands of people participate in the 9/11 Heroes Run, an event that honors the sacrifices of all the heroes of September 11th, from the first responders to the military members who have served in the wars that followed. The legacy of Brendan Looney is inextricably intertwined with this foundation. His story, his promise, and his sacrifice are a central part of the narrative that inspires thousands of people. He is not just remembered as a fallen SEAL, he is remembered as the ultimate brother, a man whose loyalty extended beyond the grave. The image of his headstone next to Travis's in Arlington is a constant, powerful reminder of what their lives stood for. Their story has become a modern-day parable of friendship and fidelity. It's the core of the book, Brothers Forever, which has shared their incredible journey with a national audience, ensuring that their bond will never be forgotten. So, what do we take away from a story of such profound sacrifice? We see that the greatest legacies are not built on personal achievement, but on the impact we have on others. The lives of Brendan, Travis, and Matt were relatively short, but they were lives of immense consequence. They stood for something. They lived by a code. Their story forces us to look inward. It asks us to consider our own friendships, our own commitments, our own response when faced with a challenge. It echoes Travis's timeless question, if not me, then who? It is a challenge to step up, to serve others in whatever capacity we can, to be a person of character, and to live a life worthy of the sacrifices made by brave men and women like them. Brendan Looney's journey from the lacrosse fields of Maryland to the elite ranks of the Navy SEALs, and finally to his resting place beside his brother in Arlington, is a testament to the power of purpose. He was a man who, when faced with a choice between safety and service, chose service. When faced with the loss of a friend, he chose to honor him through action. His life and the lives of his brothers, Travis and Matt, serve as a permanent, poignant reminder that the strongest bonds are forged in shared purpose, and the greatest love is demonstrated through ultimate sacrifice. They were brothers forever, and their story will continue to inspire for generations to come. We're done for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, smash the like button, comment below, and hit subscribe for more great content coming your way soon.